Hello all, I bet you are going to want to challenge your friends with this one. Welcome to another endgame study of the Solving Harder Studies to Improve Chess Calculation series. This is going to be really fun. It was a composition created by Anatoly Bezgodkov and Vladimir Samilo. It's white to play and to win. As always, I suggest you watch the guide if you haven't, so you are better prepared for the practice. Then the 10-minute main one countdown will start, and I catch you up back with the beginning of the guided solution. And here we are. Okay, we have so much few material compared to black. We have just a rook and a bishop and a pawn. And are we going to win this one? Well, really hard. Of course, from the beginning of the position, we see, okay, we need to go with forced moves. There are no many possibilities when we have such a disadvantage on the beginning. So the first one, it's pretty obvious that doesn't work, going with the pawn. So the idea is to set up the discover check, but black can just go simply with accepting the pawn as the discover check won't work. After here, it's black, it's going to win, so it's impossible. And after a while, we start to have some problems with the moves. Let's say, for example, we go directly with the rook, but over here, of course, black can accept because after the discover check, it won't be possible to force. It's black to win here again. And other moves possible, like for example, going with the rook. So the idea is to try to set up the discover check in a different way, but it's black to play, and this move from the king going to b8, it's going to be hard to force it anymore because from here it's impossible to force. Okay, we are going to grab the pawns, but of course it's black, it's going to win from here, not us. So this also doesn't work. Another possible move was going with, well, the rook to the other side, well, trying to grab the pawn, but of course from here black can do several things, but just blocking the pawn. There are no more discover checks. This allows the king to move away very soon, and there are no forced moves over here because well, even if the rook sacrifice, it will be check. No time for discover check. So white is just in a desperate mode. And last but not the least, I also calculate this one going with the rook b4. So the idea is to stop the king to escape to b8, but black can just accept. If it goes with the same idea of blocking the pawn, it's enough. And black, in fact, over here is going for a win. But just the simply line that allows at least a draw for black, it's going to be accepting the pawn. Because when the discover check happens, okay, we have a new queen over the board, but of course, black also has a queen and several pawns, and just advancing one is enough to force white to just go for repetitions, or else it's black, it's going to start to go for a win. So uh, I haven't revealed the first good move, which is the brilliant rook e7. Okay, this was a blast. When I was calculating, I did was not able to find this one. That's why I love this composition a lot. So over here, of course, the idea is very simple. If black accepts the rook, it's going to lose because we are going to deliver the discover check. Now the king is forced to go to a7, and now we promote to a knight. So forking the king and the queen, and after the king moves, let's say, well, it goes whatever. We just grab the queen, and with a bishop and a knight, we have enough to go for a win from here. Of course, we need to know how to checkmate with a bishop and a knight. If you haven't, well, I hope you are going to learn it very fast because this is one of those situations where you need to prove it. Okay, so let's go to the start. We already see that the queen can't accept the Greek offer, but the queen goes with, and this is hard, it's going to be a challenge. The queen goes to f8. So it's us to play again. So of course we are going to advance the pawn, the discover check. The king moves to a7, and now it's the first moment for another countdown, a shorter one, 1 minute. Pause if you need more. What is the correct continuation from white from here? and the fun it's just beginning. Of course, if we promote to a queen, it's a discover check, but of course black can simply take the rook and there are no ways. We have seen a similar line before where now the queen just goes for some checks, but in the end it's black that it's having the edge from here. We are just hoping for a draw, so we need to promote it for a knight. Well, not easy, but of course, we are checking the king, so we keep the game going on. Of course, now the king can't go to a6, would be really easy for us with a checkmate from the bishop. So the king goes to b8. Okay, now we have improved a bit more on the position. It's white to play again. What is the correct move and correct continuation for white from here? Another minute, pause if you need more, and then I catch you up to go on. And here we are, and the fun is just going on. We just play knight a7, double exclamation mark. Of course, we can't go with the rook checking the king because the king just grabs the knight, which makes it impossible for white to win. In fact, it's black, it's going for a win from here. So it would be game over. So we need to find this very clever move, knight a7, double exclamation mark. Notice that now we are intending to check the king. The king can't go to c8 anymore because of the knight, so the king it's threatened to go to a8, and then we get discover check with the rook getting out of the way and so probably grabbing the queen. Of course, the idea here is if the queen accepts the Greek offer from the rook, we just grab it with a fork and we keep the knight and the bishop, and which is enough to win this one. So from here, the queen needs to find another idea. We already know that it can't accept the rook. Of course, checking the first on the 8 is a clever one. The king can't go to the e file, otherwise the queen grabs the rook with check and then grabs the knight, of course. It's not easy, but we need to see this very fast. Going to c1 also doesn't work because there is a very clever move over here, which is to bring the pawn checking, so forcing the king to accept, and now the queen enters the game and black is going for a win from here. So we need to find, if this move happens over the solution, we need to find the king going to c3, and now it's game over. It's impossible for black to go on. If it grabs the rook, it's the same idea, so it is impossible, but we need to find, of course, the continuation with the king going to c3. So here, the correct move from black is to check it, but from h6. Okay, now the king needs to choose, but of course, only one, it's easy. We need to go to e2. It's the only way for black to have no more checks. If we go to c3, well, black can check it from below with c1, which is going to be a draw. If we are going to d3, well, even better for black again, another check from g6. And if we go with the blunder of e1, now black is going not just for a draw, but for a win from here. So after the check, we need to go with the king e2. So it's black to play again, and black goes and play the very clever move, which you are going to see that it's not easy to find the continuation. Queen f4. So it's us to play again. The normal continuation over here isn't hard, so no need to stop the clock. We just check the king goes to a8, and now it's us again. Another minute, pause if you need more. What is the correct continuation now for white? And over here, we need to keep paying attention because, of course, we need to attack the queen. So the idea is, okay, the queen on the f file doesn't allow rook going to f7. We are not going to progress if we do this. Well, the king just goes to the side, and then we need to check it again. So we get the same position. So just repeating is not a solution, of course. And going with b4, it's just a big blunder because, of course, over here black can simply sacrifice the queen for the bishop that it's checking is king. So we accept, and in the end, we are just going to fight for a draw with luck. Of course, we just have a knight. So what else can we expect besides just a draw? So we need to find that the only way to progress is to go with the rook to g7. This is the only way. Of course, there are other moves from white, like we saw that going to f7 or to h7, but this just will force us to repeat the position again. And so the only good continuation is to go with rook g7. So it's check, so black to play again. Of course, the king moves to the side. And now to continue, we need to keep on with forcing moves. We already know that going with the rook to b8 again, to b7 again, checking doesn't make any progress. So we need to bring the knight. Of course, the king can't come back. This would be just fun for us with a immediate checkmate. And so the king is forced to go to c8. Okay, final moment for you. It's the final countdown, another minute. Pause if you need more. What is the correct finish of the game for white from here? And the fun is almost finishing. We need to find bishop g4 exclamation mark. We need to continue with the bishop because if we go with the knight, we can't progress it anymore. The king just goes to the same position, so we need to check it again and then it comes back. It's just going to be a repetition of the position. So to finish this one, we need to go with this simple idea: bishop g4. Of course, it would be checkmate if black didn't have f4, f5, sorry, to block the check. Now we just go along with the same idea. We sacrifice the bishop because in the end the queen is forced to grab it, and then we get that so sweet fork that we wanted. And so after that, it's just going to be an easy win. Not even a bishop. We now have the rook and the knight. So it's going to be very, very, very satisfactory to go and finish this one. Hope you have enjoyed. As I told you on the beginning, this one is very good for you to challenge your friends. Share it. And of course, I expect to find you in future videos. And bye bye and keep checking.